Okay.
Built an eyesight default microphone.
Right. And it's the microphone's working. We can tell that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all good. Video's working. Hoorah. Come on, Google, don't let us down.
I tested all this last night and made sure it worked. I don't know why it's
What'd you test it with?
I guess just myself.
Oh, okay. So it's a little hard to test it without.
Well, I mean, I was doing the recording. That's why if it worked in the recording, then it was working. But
so if I go to your Google Plus page, I can watch this happening right now?
Yes.
Okay. So then I can verify that we get sound.
Okay.
That.
All right. There we go.
Oh,
now you can hear me?
yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Hey, fantastic.
Let me do a couple of things here. Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. Could you lower the camera just a little bit?
How much?
Oh, so I'm sorry. Too far. All right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Right there's good. And then when you answer the questions, if you could look right at the camera and not like at your computer screen, that way we won't see your eyes. Your eyes will be looking at the camera. And so when you speak, do you move around or gesticulate at all?
Well, I can try not to.
No, that's fine. I just want to know the range of what you're doing so I can get a camera image. Okay.
I'm a conductor.
Oh yes, very true. All right.
No, I think I will be focused on what to say.
Okay.
Since I have to speak in English, so.
Yeah.
Well, I just saved a PDF.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, no. I'll just try to do my best. I got the questions you sent me, and
okay.
I haven't memorized them, but you will say them to me.
Yeah. And Zane's going to be sitting where I'm sitting right now, and you'll be having a conversation with him.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to.
But you would kind of edit this thing later on?
Yes. Yeah. What I'm doing is so that I can.
I mean, if I poke my nose or something, you will.
We'll cut to rehearsal footage.
I was trying to make it go full screen, but I guess it's not. Okay.
I think if you click the green plus.
Well, that
looks to get full screen.
Oh, that's right.
Or at least close to full screen.
All right. Still good? Still see us? Still hear us?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. So then, go ahead, Zane. Sit down.
I get the comfy chair.
Yep.
Hello, Fredrik.
Hi, Shane.
So good to see you.
Yeah, cool.
We are loving your Missa Brevis. It is such a fantastic composition. Really wonderful. Really great. We're just going to verify that we're getting the video on record right now, and then we'll go ahead and start. I'll just ask you each question, and then you just look at the camera and give us as much of an answer as you want. You can talk about it as long as you want.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So we'll just wait for verification that the video is being recorded, and then we'll start. These modern technology things, I tell you.
Well, I was kind of expecting this.
Yeah, it's kind of the nature of the beast, I suppose.
It is.
how are things going for you? Otherwise, commissions.
Well, good, really good. I'm so busy with my projects, composing projects. I'm into this big, huge opera.
Oh yeah,
And also a concerto for 2 pianos and orchestra from New York.
cool.
So it's keeping me more than occupied.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. So it's I really love this life now. Left the church and just devote myself to composing.
Yeah, that's great. That's the dream, right?
It is. It is. It took me 30 years, but now I'm there.
Yeah, well, you've arrived. That's good. How are we doing here, boys?
Just go ahead and start.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're not doing
We've been given permission to go ahead and start. So I'll ask you each question and then just, talk as much as you want.
Cool.
So the first thing is that we'd like you to kind of give us a little bit of a greeting that'll start the whole video off. So if you can state your name, your titles, your employer, where you work, that kind of stuff, where you live, just a little brief background about a little introduction of yourself.
Okay. Well, here is Fredrik Sixten. I'm sending my greetings to you in San Francisco from Trondheim, Norway, where I'm now have my residence since 3 years. I'm a full-time composer, and before that I was cathedral organist in Trondheim in Norway and in Sweden before that. And well, that's pretty much it. I'm married with a Norwegian wife and live a good life here in Norway.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have any kids, Fredrik? Children?
Yes, I have one daughter, and as a matter of fact, she is living in Oslo. This is purely confidential. She started in Sweden. The unemployment among teenagers is very big, so she moved to Norway where there is a lot of work. So started out in the restaurant business, and she met a Norwegian guy, and now she's living in Oslo and again studies at the university there.
Oh,
so
great.
both live in Norway.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next question, which is a little bit more about your history, your personal history. So, how did you get involved in music? What or who were your major influences as a young musician? And then just a little bit more detail about what you do specifically with music now.
Well, I was brought up in a family where my father was a priest, so I started out singing pretty early on in the choirs, as most, and I started studying piano and organ with the local music director there, and I was very fascinated by the musical scores and from the beginning. So I started out very early on to copy pieces, just being so amazed by the way you make notation of music, and I pretty early started to compose and try to do my own stuff, so the music, the introduction with music come very early and through the church. So the sacred music has always been a important part of my life. After doing that, I applied for the university and went to the Royal College of Music in Stockholm, and then I started my career as a church musician within the Church of Sweden, where I worked for 28 years on 3 positions, ending up in being cathedral organist in a city called Härnösand, which it's on the northeast coast of Sweden, and then I was appointed as a cathedral organist of the big Nidaros Cathedral in Trondheim, where I worked for a little more than 1 year, and then I became a full-time composer, since I had so many commissions and have a future as composer safe. So that's where I am right now.
Fantastic. That's perfect. So that leads us into the next question, which is tied to that question, which is that what does music mean to you? Besides the obvious fact that it's your chosen career, of course, but why do you pursue music? What does it make you feel deep down inside?
Well, that's a big question. I don't think I have a very good answer, but the best answer I can say is that let's see. I had to look. You know, I just feel that these two things, the music and life, is inseparable. So I mean, music is life and life is music. It's always been a part of me as long as I can think of. It's followed me in whatever situation I've been in through life, in both crisis and both success, and it's been an important thing for me to a channel to express emotions and feelings of comfort and discomfort and happiness and unhappiness, and well, I can't imagine a life without music. So that's pretty much it.
That's very good. Can you think of a particular time when, you know, life was particularly difficult and a musical experience kind of took you to a better place? Can you think of a particular occasion?
Yeah, I have a very strong memory in that regard. It was when I was divorced. In that very, very big crisis, I had my child, and everything was upside down. And in the midst of that crisis, I was conducting the B minor Mass of Bach. That was the biggest thing I ever done as a career as a conductor. But I remember that performance that I was just, you know, lifting from the ground, and despite I was in that total crisis, I was for like 2 hours somewhere else, still present, still in real life, but everything was just making it possible to function and work as a human being. So that's a good example of what music can do with you.
Yeah, that's a great example. I had a similar experience this year with the car accident that I got in back in February. You know, I was riding my motorcycle and a car came out of nowhere and struck me and broke my leg, and I still walk with a limp, actually. But every Sunday when I come to rehearsal with IOC, with the choir, for 3 hours, my leg doesn't hurt at all. I don't even think about it. It's like it never happened. It's amazing, the cathartic experience that music gives us, you know, so I can relate.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about choral music. Choirs. What you think, how choral music is different from instrumental music, not only from a composing standpoint, but just also from an experiential standpoint. How do you think that choral music is different, and do you think it's better?
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing is that the voice is so. It's nothing in between you as a performer and the audience. The contact is immediate, and it's a channel directly to from between the performer and the audience, and that's really the fascinating thing about it. It's so there's no wall between. It's no no instrument. I mean, the body is the instrument, and I think that's the most significant thing.
Do you have a preference for writing choral music or writing instrumental music, or do you like them equally?
No, I would say definitely vocal. I'm always being vocal, and when I write for instruments, I think vocally. And many instrumentalists have told me that they appreciate my music just because I make the instrument sings, and I'm very aware of the to be oh, I don't know expression in English, but organic or true to the instrument's possibilities, more than just exploring the outer limits.
Yeah, I like that. Do you think that your experience as an organist influences your writing for choral music or for the voice? Do you find that organ type techniques creep into your choral music?
Well, I mean, when you play the organ, it's also very important to be singing within yourself, and I mean, of course, to actually sing when you play the hymns and things like that, but also to think very vocally when you play the organ. So it's, I would say I would say more that the choral music has affected my way of playing the organ than the other way around.
Oh, okay.
I would say that it's I've been vocally interested from the beginning more than instrumentally. Even if I've been playing the organ a lot, I always have my focus on the vocal.
Oh, okay, great. What was I going to say? This question, I'm just going to say it, and I'll let you take it wherever you want. The question is, what other influences or compositional references or techniques can be found in your choral compositions? Do you have favorite ways of writing for the voice that you would say are particularly Fredrik Sixten?
Well, I mean, you are exploring the Missa Brevis now, and I think you can feel that there is a lot of influences in the piece. And I would say my signature is that blend of so many different influences, like folk music, jazz, baroque music, pop and rock even, and of course the traditional choral sound and contemporary expressions. But I would say if you want to describe my music, I would say the blend of of a lot of different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know that you've written a lot of octavos for chorus, and you've also written some larger works, like, is it a St. John's Passion? Is that correct?
Yeah. I've done both requiems and Christmas oratorios and 2 different passions. So I've done a lot of big pieces, but I would say this is maybe my biggest piece for choir a cappella.
Oh, really? Fantastic. Yeah. And have you?
I've been saving up for that because I've always had this dream of writing a Missa Brevis, but I never got the. I always worked like this as a composer to have a goal for my. I never written things for the drawer. I've always had commissions or have when I was employed organist, I always had these concerts or special occasions where I composed something. But I had maybe now I'm into another question, but
okay,
I can tell I have this idea of the opening of the Missa Brevis in my drawer. One of few sketches I just left because I was feeling this can be an opening for a bigger piece. Just give me the right time, the right situation, and suddenly the situation was there, and I could bring out these sketches and start working on this idea.
How long ago did you start those sketches for the Kyrie?
I would say 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I have been tempted to use them on several occasions where I had other commissions, but I felt I wanted to use this in a bigger a cappella piece with several movements. I just felt it was worth waiting for.
Can you describe the opening of the Kyrie a little bit in your own words and what you were trying to achieve in the effect of the music?
Well, I mean, it's once again, you have this blend of different expressions. What I want to do first is to start out in the first chord. It's very traditional, starting in an ordinary minor accord, and but suddenly it's an unexpected change in the chord scenario. And it's not, you know, it's not difficult to just move from a straight chord to something very strange. But the thing is that these changes I can use over and over again. It always has this effect. I don't know if you feel that, but when you sing it, but this movement, this move between these opening accords is fantastic. It's thrilling, and it creates a tension with just two chords changing, and also I move around there from this to tell the audience in the beginning that there is something strange going on here, but at the same time they can relax and feel a lot of language that can speak directly to them.
Yes, it's very suggestive, the beginning of the Kyrie. It makes you know that something else is coming, and you're excited to find out what that is. Let's talk about the other movements as well, the Gloria movement in particular. Can you talk about that movement a little bit?
Well, I just felt that this is the song of praise, and I also want to say that one important thing with this whole Missa Brevis is that I combine the poems from the Psalms together. I found verses in the Psalms that I feel relates very intimate with the lyrics from the Mass, and everyone knows the Latin lyrics in the Mass. Most of them have heard the words, but no one really knows what anyone is singing about, really. I mean, Kyrie eleison is very, everyone has a feeling towards it, but no one knows, maybe, well, very few knows what it's about. If it doesn't tell in the program notes. But what I wanted to do is to have in English the poems from the Psalms, where you can have a direct expression in a very poetic way, and the audience can know that these are very strongly connected with each other, so they can get a feeling of what you are singing about when you sing in Latin. So that's an important thing with this. That's why I did it in this way. The Gloria is that I wanted to play around with the lyrics a bit, and I cut them up in small sections, and back and forth to I was thinking a bit of our modern times, where we are so diverse with everything. You have so a lot of impressions everywhere. It's hard to stay focused in one thing, and I wanted to show that the praise the praising in a way of being very I don't find the words now, but but you know, in modern people have a very hard time to be focused, and I wanted to show that in a way that people try to sing praises, people try to believe, people try to be committed, and I wanted to express that in different ways, but of course then at the end to combine all these different expressions and in a closing fugue. Once again, a totally different input from the Baroque area. Get people to feel that there is a voice from way back until now, and everything unites at the end in a total majestic praising at the end of Amen there.
Yeah.
A lot of words. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's fantastic. I agree completely. The fugue at the end, we just rehearsed the fugue at the end yesterday at our rehearsal, and it's not easy, but it comes together so well, and it's pretty
short.
Yeah, it's a great reference to the history of the Mass and the history of fugal writing, for sure. What about the Sanctus? How did you conceive of this mixed meter feel and this particular melody?
Yeah, I wanted to do, as in the beginning, to create something unexpected. I mean, Sanctus is normally a very powerful, majestic way of singing praise to God, and I starting out very, very soft and with a lot of rhythmical, and it creates I wait for the big sound, so I think that will keep the audience also very curious. What will happen now, and not doing the obvious, big chords, just.
Yeah, Sanctus is rarely written this way, with the imitation and fugal writing. It's neat. I like it a lot. And then there's the moment when the men have the ascending inversions of C major, that measure. That's one of my favorite moments in the whole Mass, that moment when the men rise up in this C major sound and then arrive at this big, beautiful chord, and then everybody stops and goes, Sanctus. It's so cool. Really, really great.
Well, I can say that's been an important thing for me to write for each division in the choir and really give tasks for everyone, no matter what voice you're singing in, and make use of the male choral sound. I just love that. Take advantage to show different aspects of the choir, not just the tutti sound.
I'm interested. There's one particular section of the Sanctus. It happens to be measures 15 and 16, and the sopranos and altos sing a triad, an E major triad. They sing Sanctus, 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 and it's this little tiny moment. Was there any particular inspiration for that little two-measure phrase? I love it. I think it's probably I think it is my favorite moment in the whole Mass, and it's only 2 measures. It's so short. I really love it. It's so, and against the tenor line, it's just very, very unique. And I was wondering if there was a particular influence, a reason you chose to write it that way.
Well, I'm sure there were, but I can't say now. I mean, I can tell you now, but. I've worked with it a lot, and yeah.
Would you say that when you're composing, that you kind of begin on one path and then it just naturally changes, or do you try to sketch everything out and then fill in the blanks?
Yeah, I work a lot with the form or the architecture of each movement. I sketch both, of course, some basics idea, but often I do time schedule. You know, and you know, to see that it balances up, so it works all together. And I think I'm pretty. If I got good credit for things, it's often about my that I work a lot with the architecture, and if people feel that the movements are balanced, and yeah.
Yeah, our first experience with your music was, oh help me, what was the name of that song? There Is No Rose.
Yeah.
The setting of There Is No Rose was our first experience with your music, and that piece in particular, it has the architecture of it is beautiful. It's perfect. It begins in one place and it ends in another place, and it's a perfect journey from beginning to end. So
there are those moments in that particular piece too where you just kind of want to tear up and cry for the beauty of life.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember particularly about that one particular piece. It was so well built and so well harmonized. It just pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely.
Thanks.
So then we arrive at the Agnus Dei, and we find that the Kyrie harmonic idea comes back, and we have a reference to the beginning, and I assume, of course, that was on purpose.
Of course.
Of course.
But instead of just going on and on, I think I start with something unexpected. Not unexpected in a way that the piece is very complicated. On the opposite, it's very, and that's also by intention, that the piece is very. It's calm, and it's what do you say? It's so. Oh, I can't find the word. When everyone just can feel that it couldn't be in another way. It's so simple, but still it's
profound at the same time.
Yeah, in a way, I wanted to. I mean, the Lamb of God is Agnus Dei. The Lamb of God is really. It's a song of praise, but it's a song of praise where Jesus. The lyrics is from Saint John, who is telling, "Look, there is the Lamb of God, and He will take away the sin of the world." And He tells someone that because He knows that Jesus has to die on the cross. So what we are praising that someone is going to sacrifice Himself on the cross. And I think that is so strong and so complicated, and it's very difficult for anyone to understand and believe that even. So that's why I just felt that the music should be very, precise, profound. Just rest in that fact that this is the way, this is the only way, and I started out to give a glimpse of that before going into the poems of the Psalms again, and at the end it builds up with this theme again, and in a total moment of glory at the end, and I don't think anyone can be untouched when you place the last chord there.
Yeah, after the sopranos soar on the high C for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very.
But I think all the high notes are very well prepared.
Yes, I agree.
There's nothing, you could, even if you had to sing that high pitches, these high notes, you couldn't have to do it in a better situation.
Yeah, and I think that obviously speaks to your experience and your love for vocal music, and that you write for the voice. You don't write for an instrument that is a choir. You write for each individual voice, and that's Well, that's why your music's so good.
Well, I mean, you can one can accuse me of being very influenced by certain composers, but one I'm not influenced by, and that's Beethoven.
Who would you say you are influenced by?
Well, I would say I'm very influenced by Bach, by Mozart, by Brahms, these people. But of course, the French Romantic traditions, I would say.
What about contemporary composers that are living today?
Well, yeah. I mean, Bernstein is one. I mean, he doesn't live, but contemporary composers today, I don't know. Well, there are people who but you know, I don't sound like Lauritsen or Whittaker or someone like that. I mess around too much. You know, doing a ugly thing there and here and there. You know, it's. Yeah.
Our choir has sung one piece by Morten Lordson. Only one in our 11 years. We've sung one piece, and it was Amor io sento l'alma, which is a madrigal style piece, and it's very unlike most of what he does, and that's why we did it.
Okay.
Because most of his music all sounds the same to me anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's just talk a little bit about your experience with our choir, with the International Orange Chorale. You know, take a moment to kind of talk about how you first came into contact with us, how we became, you know, something that you were aware of. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about your thoughts about our sound, what you've heard of us, your impressions of the choir. You know, we're just looking for your thoughts about this particular ensemble.
Well, I think it all started out from the beginning with Ragnar Berlin, who is the choral director of San Francisco Symphony Chorus. We always had a long relationship of doing different projects together, and he's both promoted, commissioned, and performed a lot of my pieces, and also some premieres. And when he moved to San Francisco in 2008, I think it was, he started early on to give me, you know, advice of, you know, should contact them, and you know, and I think I wrote you in around 2010 or something, and sent you some stuff, and I got an immediate response from you that you were very interested, and I think I sent you some scores as well. So around at that time, and then I think in 2012 you decided, or 2013 maybe, to do the Rose. There is no Rose.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed some other pieces, but I don't know if this is just vaguely I remember. I've checked some emails, but around then 2012, I think, yeah, you did something. And of course, I listened to on the internet, and then also when I was in San Francisco 2014, I attended one rehearsals with you, and yeah, and what that struck me was that, of course, you have a vital, young, fresh sound with the choir, and it's also, you can really feel the love for music. People are very devoted, and you get that very immediate feeling when you hear the choir. And also, I feel, you can correct me as being the choir director, but I feel that your sound is more, for me, something I can relate to in the Scandinavian choral tradition more than an American sound. And for me, that's very positive. Not that I don't, you know, I can appreciate a lot of sounds, but that of course touches me in a special way when I hear you and the blend between the male and the female sound and yeah, the overall choral sound. For me, it's for me, I can feel that you're. I think you, as a conductor, has some influence. Feel influences from this tradition, and I can feel that, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. I remember Ragnar is the reason that I was familiar with you. We were planning an entire season of music from, the Baltics essentially, and I sought out Ragnar's help to give us some suggestions for repertoire, and he could not stop talking about you and all of your music, and he gave me a CD of your Requiem to take home, and I listened to that and immediately just got so excited. And then I think I contacted you and mentioned that we were going to do one of your pieces, and then you sent me a big packet, not only of sheet music but of CDs too. So your music makes up a large percentage of my personal collection of stories.
Well, I tend to overdo things. That's
no, I was not complaining. It was great. But I think also you're right that the sound that is the choral sound of Swedish choral music, at least in my experience through my schooling, that's what I go for. When I'm conducting IOC, I look for that sound. I strive to achieve it because I think that it's a strong tradition in your part of the world for sure, almost stronger than it is here in America, except for in certain particular places. And it just sounds so clean and pure, and it's like you were saying before.
The blend with the voices. That's maybe the biggest difference if you compare the traditional American choral sound. And also I felt when I watched you rehearsing with the choir, I just felt, oh, here's a buddy of mine. I mean, you rehearse pretty much in the way I do. You're very fast and direct in your communication with the choir. You demand a lot, but you always keep a pleasant feeling with the work, and the balance there to be both demanding and still make people relax so they can really learn and develop. That's a difficult thing, and I really like the way you work with the choir and the result you have, and also the feeling I got from the choir as a group of singers, very positive and
very much like a family.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't pay anyone to be there means that they're all present because of a shared love for what they're doing, and that lends itself to the blend, because every person in the choir's goal is the same, which is to receive enjoyment from music making. And so because they all have the same goal, the product at the end is really balanced and blended because they're all on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliments. I feel like I'm a pretty good rehearsal conductor for sure. Although I got two members sitting back behind me. I don't know if they agree. I'm good at cracking the whip when I need to. Are there any ways that you would say that you composed the Missa Brevis with IOC in mind, or was it more of just a general choral sound you were going for?
Well, since I mean, if I had another experience from listening to you and both recordings and being sitting there listening to you, if I heard something else, I'm sure I would have written another piece. I mean, I make use of this your capacity to blend and to use different groups of the choir, and without fearing that this will be too diverse or too too unbalanced. So I could say I did it with you in mind, since I could rely on that you could make this work together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Well, you kind of answered this question already, so I think I'll skip it.
Mm.
You did mention earlier that you have a connection from a long history of attachment to sacred music because of your upbringing within church music and things like that. Would you say that still to this day as a composer that you prefer to write sacred text as opposed to non-sacred text?
Well, I mean, since I always, as long as I've been a composer, I've worked on commissions and have had certain goals for my music all the time. And since I've been working within the church since almost 30 years, it's the only reason really why I stick to sacred texts. I hope to develop a possibility to get commissions outside the church, but of course that it's I don't know if that will happen, but I surely would want to, and I would surely. I'm very interested in poems and literature. Read a lot of books, read a lot of poems. Have a lot of influences. I've done some. I know I sent you one piece, for instance, "Unforgotten" by Robert Service, the Canadian poet, which I know. I just read an email. If you weren't lying, you told me a lot of how much you love it and you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So I've done a few, and I have hopes for more. But then since I don't write anything for the drawer, I need to get commissions.
Right, of course. Well, maybe we'll look to commission you in the future for something folk-based or something with influences from...
I'm open for anything. Yeah.
Oh, that could be really fun. That's actually because we kind of did a little circular motion. That's all the questions I have written down.
Yeah.
You guys think of anything that I didn't cover? So far, this has been very good. I think we've gotten a lot of fantastic sound bites for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have you just give us a little, like, wishing us your best wishes statement, directed at the choir, to the singers themselves about, how you hope that we'll perform your piece or something. I don't know, a statement to the choir.
So at last, I would send you my very best greetings to Zane and everyone in the choir, and I wish you a nice journey with this piece. It's both challenging and, in my opinion, if I may say so, very rewarding. So when you're going up the hill in some sections, there are parts where you're going down the hill as well. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to come in November and be part of this event, both in San Francisco and Berkeley. And this has been a very big challenge for me as well as a composer. And you have, by your commission, you fulfilled a dream of mine that's been on my bucket list, so to speak, to do Missa Brevis. And I'm so happy that Zane gave me this opportunity, and that he believes in my skills as a composer. He believes in my music, and I hope you also will after ending this journey in the concerts in November. So best of luck from me.
Perfect. That was perfect. Okay, I don't think I don't have anything else.
Could I get a couple of sound bites?
Sure.
Just a couple of things like, this is my Misa Brevis, written for the International Orange Chorale, performing in November in Berkeley and San Francisco.
You want me to say that?
Yes. Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, just straight out like that.
Yeah, like an announcement that I could at the top or the end of the piece.
I'll try.
Okay.
So this is my Missa Brevis, which will take place in Berkeley and San Francisco in November with the IOSF.
IOCSF.
I mixed that up.
You can say the International Orange Chorale if you prefer.
Okay.
That might make it easier, but otherwise that was perfect. Give it another shot.
November 2015.
Oh yeah, sure. November this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
November. What was the date?
The
14th
and the 21st, I think, but that's not necessary. That
Okay.
You know, just say November this year, maybe.
Okay. So this is my Missa Brevis, which will be premiered in November in San Francisco and Berkeley with the International Range Chorale of San Francisco.
That's fine with me.
And then one more thing, maybe let's see, like enjoy this message to the audience specifically. Like, please enjoy this work that has meant so much to me. Something I can end the piece with. I'm looking for a good soundbite just to exit with. Back a message straight to the audience.
Oh, okay. So, like, yeah, what you would say to the audience if you were introducing the piece at the concert, maybe.
So it's after you play them something, or?
Yes, it'll be at the very end of this video, basically saying, you know, I hope that the audience, I hope you and the audience get to enjoy this, this work that I've spent all my time and love on for the last however long, something like that.
Okay. Okay, it's my sincere hopes that this music of mine, the Missa Brevis, will touch your hearts and make you feel happy.
Great.
Good with that?
I'm fine.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
That's perfect. I think we have everything that we need, Fredrik. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
No problem. Just my pleasure.
It's so exciting. I really love the piece. It's everything we could have hoped for. So thank you again for that.
Yeah. So good luck with the preparations, and see you in November then.
Yeah, we're excited to see you then.
Yeah, and get better with your leg.
I'm walking now. So.
I should say break a leg, but
no, I only got one left. I can't break it.
Okay.
Okay, Fredrik. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Bye.
Stop broadcast.
Yeah, stop broadcast. And then very cool.